just a light that says on air. Is the on air? Oh, there's the on air light. Hey,
You found it.
hi. I'm Greg Leghorn, and I am one of the three Pratt grads. We have a photo talk um, fairly regularly. We try to, if I'm not being the bad boy of the bunch, and I show up, we get to record. So we're going to record today. Our topic is going to be, uh, what was it? What was it last week? It was
Landscapes part two, Greg.
Landscapes Part Two. I knew that. I just needed my cue card. Hey, the cue card guy. Come on. Okay. All right. So my name's Greg Claiborne. This is my bud Ken Nelson and Mark Skinner. We are all graduates from Pratt Institute in Brooklyn, New York, the seat of fine arts, and well, one of the seats of fine arts. Maybe not get to may need some reupholstering, but it was a good school, and it's still a good school. It's not SBA or what was that? Oh, was that the sound guy? Get on with it. Anyway, our second installment, where we had a pretty good discussion on what was the topic again?
Landscapes.
Landscapes from before, and they kind of didn't satisfy me. So I was like, okay, let's try it a little bit more, because landscapes on the surface, they're almost the easiest picture to take. Because you just take what's there, mise en scene, as they say in the cinema world. You just shoot it as it is, no alterations, no this and that. You just capture what you capture. And what is that really all there is to it? So I wanted to say, Mark brought up an interesting kerfuffle, and I kind of, and then he brought up, okay, sing with me, fellas, Ansel Adams. Okay, all right, never mind. So I was like, okay, yeah, Ansel Adams did a lot of landscapes. Beautiful, world renowned. Everybody knows the name. If they don't know his work, they know Ansel was doing his thing. But he spent his life up there. He knew that part backwards, forwards, inside, daytime, nighttime, all hours of the day. That man knew that. Now, when you're taking pictures, if you're not physically painting with light, you need to go back and try again. Okay, I mean, you can go out there with your own lamps and not physically point them into a mountainside and paint them with light. Or you could take a picture or just wait. Set up your tripod and say, nope, that ain't the one. You come back the next day. Nope, that ain't it. Come back in the morning. Nope, that ain't it. Until, first picture, please. I don't know. What am I doing? Am I doing this? Oh, I did it that way. It's like I looked at. Okay, of course, this is the controversial Mount Rushmore in the Black Hills, and and I said I went there the first day. I went there full of tourists. I mean, it was off season, but I looked up and I was like, it was just so funky, surreal. It just looked fake. But I couldn't get the people out the picture. So what did I do? I went to my hotel room, got up at like dark 30, about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I got to the park and I just sat there and waited. 3 long hours till the break of dawn, and there was absolutely nobody out there. And I got this to me, it's like super surreal. Like Ansel, he looked at the clouds and he said, nope, those aren't the clouds I want. And he came back the next day or the next night. And, it's like there's what you picture in your mind for your landscape has to meet that. Other than that, it's just a snapshot, So next picture, please. This one, I literally could not, this was a place, I meditated out there. I was just like, wait a minute, there's something here. There's just something here. And it was like eerily quiet. It was just, I could see why the natives believed that the black rocks, the black hills out there had an energy, because you could feel there's like a energy there. Anyway, I sat out there for like 2 days, 2-3 days at least. And I was like, this is a interesting look. I don't never see it looking like that. And I just sat it up, and then the sunset kind of, in there. This was the landscape I wanted. I mean, they could be individually, if you cover one side, you get one image. It's the
Hmm.
traditional guys on the side of the mountain. Hello, Mr. Presidents. And if you look at the other side, it's kind of a cool, weird colored, you know, sunset. But you put them
Hmm.
together, and for me, it was like, sunrise, sunset. There's some going on here, but that was the landscape I wanted. So that's what I captured. If you guys got anything to say,
Yeah,
moving right
I
along.
have a question
Go
about
ahead.
this one. The light that's on the sculpture itself, is that artificial light that you brought, artificial light that's there, or is that like the reflection of the moon or a big window in the sky? How is that sculpture
Well,
illuminated?
I just missed it because it was moving so fast. It was a UFO.
Okay,
That I think that was like the jet exhaust or whatever
but
propulsions. It
but you did
lifted
get
it
the
up there.
light of the silvery
But
I
you
moon.
did
did
get the
get the
light.
light.
So
Okay.
Yeah. I couldn't say that. I couldn't report it because I didn't capture it. They're like, but you're a photographer, and I was like, I missed it. And they said, you're not a very good photographer. I said, well, I went to Pratt. I did the best I could. Um, no, that was the place was wonderfully lit. The
Mhm.
just below that it was like a giant amphitheater, seats about 2,000 people, and um, wonderfully lit. Just
Yeah.
amazing, amazing lighting. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think what makes this shot for me is the fact that the clouds have sort of moved out of the way on the left side so that you can see the gradients of the light from the sun that has just set all the way through to the night sky. And
Yeah.
on the right side, you get a very graphic representation of that same gradient. It's rather than a gradient, it's a big splash of light. Instead of a small, all black horizon, you got this huge mass, and so there's a balance to this image that's very pleasing.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is.
cool.
Yeah,
Thank you. Go ahead.
it's funny because what I'm looking at and what confuses me is that I'm looking at both the sunrise and the sunset at the same time. So it's kind of intriguing. So that's why I get that. That's why I was going to ask the same question about how how the mountain is lit, and that's what gives it. And it's very yellow, so to me, it's very much like a morning sunrise.
Okay.
So that's why the color of the light makes me feel like it's a sunrise, not a sunset. And then on the left side, I'm looking at what is obviously a sunset. So it's
Okay.
you
Well,
know,
cool. I hadn't thought of it that way, but yeah, that's okay. Cool. You know, and then the continuance of the metaphor of the black hills.
yeah,
It's like
yeah,
they're jet black. There's no light coming off of those things at all.
well,
And
It's interesting to me because I've never been to Mount Rushmore and I've only seen it in photographs. And because they cover usually only the
mm,
sculpture, I didn't realize that there was so much additional rock face to be carved. People, they speculate as to what president will be there next. There's enough room for 3 or 4 more people.
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, yes, I'm not going to talk about the last guy who thought he should be up there. Oh God,
yeah,
please no. But yeah, there's a lot of rock face. I mean, it took years and
yep,
years to get this done, but I mean, seeing it in pictures, uh, that's like saying seeing New York and trying to translate to no. There's nothing like boots on the ground. You
hmm,
know, it's just it's jaw dropping. I walked up to it, and the from the base where all the rock that fell off of from the
hmm.
explosions and sculpting and all of that, that by itself is like 30, 40 stories high. You know,
Okay,
and then you get to where they
You,
started
you know,
blasting off the bottom.
You know what? You know what this particular image reminds me of? There's a series of images in a book by Steve Wilkes called Day into Night, and he takes one scene and he photographs it simultaneously. Like either I think it's double exposures. I don't know if he does double exposure still or if it's Photoshop, but he
yep,
shows the same in one image. He
yep,
shows partially what it looks like in day and
yep,
in its best light, and
yep.
then the scene, and then also the same scene at night, in the same image.
Yeah, he
And
did that at Coney Island. There's a Coney Island version of that that's really spectacular.
Oh, wait, I think I've seen his stuff. Yeah, yes, most definitely. That's some outstanding. Oh, where did I jerk myself over? Hey,
Mhm.
not to that thing I said over, not anyway. Yeah, yeah, I've seen his stuff, and he did a big splash in National Geographic, I think, and it was jaw
Yes.
dropping, jaw
Hmm.
dropping, and that shot of Coney Island from day to night, the beach going to
Hmm.
the night,
the
very
amusement
very
park.
very,
Hmm.
yeah, for sure, definitely over the top. Yeah, but see, I mean, there's nothing. You could say whatever you want, but there is nothing that can top, creative photography. Somebody gets an idea and says, "Nope, I want it done this way. This is what I want to do." And then photography has the latitude and the capability to do that. Yeah, sure. If you painted it, it would be something totally different. But being able to capture that photographically and then digitally, meld them together,
Hmm.
you can't. That's like just amazing work,
Can we see
and
the first image again? I had something I wanted to say about it, but I forgot really quick.
Mr. Nelson, Maestro, yes, go ahead. The first time you see it, it is just surreal.
Yeah,
It's just the scope of it, and you're looking up and you're like, whoa,
yeah.
it's a
I mean,
freaking Mount Rushmore.
basically, that is how it's been introduced to me. Except for you've covered so much more of the entrance to the sculpture that in a weird way, you kind of look and go, "Wow, I had no idea any of the rest of that stuff was
Yeah.
there."
Yep. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Well, you everybody focuses on the cherry on top of the sundae, and they forget there's a whole sundae on there. Right?
Yeah,
Hmm.
got curb appeal. All right, that's all I wanted.
It's amazing. The whole space is amazing. They have like a museum under there. The top level where above the grandstand is like a whole museum of um, how the sculpture, got the commission and started putting it together, all the things that happened,
Yeah,
how many
I feel like
workers.
PBS did either the American Experience or yeah, I think it was American Experience or American Masters
Oh,
about how the sculpture was made.
yeah, yeah. And the not too far from there is the sculpture they're building that's supposed to be, 10 times the size of a Crazy Horse. Because these grounds were sacred, and I think it was the Treaty of Laramie that they broke. Um, they promised in perpetuity never to go into these lands, and then they
Hmm.
broke the treaty when they found gold in the Black Hill,
Hmm.
and they did that several other places. So there's a whole bunch of controversy. There's like hundreds of millions, going on billions of dollars, because they settled and gave the Native Americans these millions of dollars that is accrued over time
Hmm.
into the billions now, because they're like, we don't want that money. There's no money you can give us to
Hmm.
replace that place and all the people that you killed.
Hmm.
Well, no, we don't want it. So be that as it may, that's the landscape. That's Mount Rushmore, and it's just like nothing that you've seen before. The actual experience of it. Yeah, next, and I mean a lot landscapes. I tell you, it's like I was saying. Mark, last episode on landscapes, Mark mentioned, he just went out and took a picture, and the sky was white. I don't know if that was intentional, but I mean, normally for me, when I do a landscape, I want to make sure that things are in place. That there is color in the sky or clouds or something. I can't physically put clouds up there. I'm not
Hmm.
that good. um, but I will sit and I will watch the sky and see when the skies are going to be a certain way, and I will grab my gear and haul butt out to where I had scouted out to get the shot,
Hmm.
and then wait for the light to show up, and I'll sit and I'll wait. Like this one, if you could zoom out a little bit, you went in close. I
Hmm.
love the color on the water tower. It's a water intake tower up like a hill. Oh, did I turn my speaker off?
Yeah, you turn the volume down.
46%. All right. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Somebody
Yes.
say something.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I can't hear you guys. My speakers on. All right. Somebody
Can
say
you?
something.
1, 2, 3, 4. Can you hear
Okay,
me?
I got you now. I got you. Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, but I wanted to paint with light. I wanted light to color the tower, and I also wanted on the foreground um, that side of the hill. It was nice in a lush, deep green, into the water, and it that meant just as much to me as the light hitting the tower, the light color of the light on the water, the color in the dead tree, So I wanted the light to be playing on as many surfaces as possible, and that's what I want to capture. Next image, if there's no comments.
Yeah.
No, I was gonna say. I mean, you have a very valid point. I mean, it certainly is a great way to get a wonderful color image. Um, I think when I photographed the sky, this landscape last week with just a white sky, you know, I just took the photograph because it appealed to me, and as I mentioned before, it was acceptable, but not necessarily exceptional. And I think in this case, you're getting much closer to exceptional because there are certain things about a landscape photo that we'd like to see, like the modeling of the tower that's in the middle of the river. We want to see the sculptural nature of that. We want to see rendering and texture throughout all the foliage, and I think you've covered that. And you even kind of nicely placed a little bit of silhouetting in the uh, foliage that's on the other side of the water, and I think that's nice.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. I'll take stuff. That's why I was looking for a follow up picture from you on that skyline that you got, because I'll get something and I'll say, oh, I like the placement of the subject matter in this image, and
Well,
I'll
I mean,
get
I
a
guess that's
picture.
a, I guess that's a topic for another discussion. Must the sky always be blue? Is really the question that you're
No, it
asking.
doesn't.
I
All right,
mean,
let's do another one because I got some pictures to answer that one too. But I can see taking a photo as a sketch, and
yeah,
now, if
yeah.
I don't have my big camera with me, I will shoot something to geotag it, which I do love with about the cameras, the phone cameras now.
Mhm.
I'll say I want that shot. I don't have the time or the light is not right, but I'll shoot it and I'll geotag it so I know where it is and I can get back to it and then wait for the light, see how the light is in that area. Because you do a lot of city work, Ken. Because I mean, there are certain places in the city where it's like a lot of glass, and at certain
Yes.
times of day, the light bounces, and you
Yes.
get this weird, prism
Yes.
thing. And I love that about New York landscapes. If
Yep.
you're out there and you know, especially down, you did a series in the Wall Street area. The reflections on that granite is just kind of
Excuse me, guys.
eerie and spooky and
Mhm.
stuff like that.
Yep.
If
All right.
nothing else, moving
Nope.
right
Let's
along.
move on.
Next one.
The Jane's Carousel.
Next one.
Yeah. That's this.
No, no, it's the other water tower picture, the black and white
Oh, I'm
picture.
sorry. Damn.
It's all right. Yeah. Now, if you could zoom out, I don't know if that's zoomed out all the way.
That's the full frame of the image.
All right, no worries. So I will look at it on my own thing. But yeah, I mean, like this one, it's like it's the same water tower. Totally different feel, in my opinion,
Hmm.
because the I mean, there was a storm that blew through like uh, the day before or the morning before I went out to get this, and there were just clouds everywhere. For California, a place that doesn't get a whole lot of clouds or weather, that kind of just sucked me out sucked me out of the apartment. grabbed the camera away and got this. And it just, I wish you guys could really get a sense of the texture of this, because the river was flat and it was like glass, and then the reflection of the water tower had a completely different feel to it. And the foliage on the land on the other side of the river had a different feel to it, and the clouds
How quickly were the clouds moving through?
not quickly at all. It was like after a real one of those really good storms, where it's like, yeah, I was here. Yeah, you wet. Yeah, I did that. And it really, really kind of just slowly moved on through. And the thing
I was going to say
this,
you could have gotten the glass feeling if you slowed down your shutter speed and
got some drag in the. Yeah, I didn't want that.
Well, you were talking about how it was like glass, so you could have really accentuated that glass feeling if the water were moving more quickly than the clouds. But that's different.
Yeah, I think it's successful. I mean, I'm looking at this reflection in the water, and I'm equating it to glass-like. So I see the reflection. So
yeah, I see the reflection. I get. Well, I do have one question though. Why? Maybe it's just what I'm seeing on the screen on my end here, but it seems like it is a duotone in that it's cool on one side and that it's warm on the other side, not necessarily a black and white image made of two tones.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I didn't get before production time. I couldn't find this on my disc. This is why I'm trying to be more like you guys and catalog, and so I can find my pictures easier. But this was a photograph of a print, so it was probably reflecting whatever blues were in the air. But it's a black and white image. And it probably has some blue sky reflected in it from an actual blue sky.
Oh, from the I see from the copy work that was being done. Got it.
Correct. Yeah.
Understood.
Right.
I see. Oh, okay. I see what happened there. Oh, right. I got it.
All right. Next image, please.
Oh,
sorry. Go back to the carousel.
Yeah.
That's it. And I'll just wrap this up with kind of an abstract. This is the carousel on the Brooklyn side of.
That's Jane's Carousel.
The East River, the Brooklyn side of the East River.
Manhattan.
Yeah, that's Jane's Carousel.
Yes, that's what it is.
And that's the Verizon building up, right? Yeah.
It's the East River, separates Manhattan and Brooklyn. Okay.
Yes, it is. And I wanted as much of this unusual combination of future and past, and the Brooklyn Bridge and this weird fan. It was just kind of something out of a hodgepodge of Metropolis and a nightmare or something. So I saw this and I wanted to shoot it, but I did the traditional, like Mark was saying, you see something, you shoot it. Everybody freaking knows the Brooklyn Bridge. Everybody knows the Manhattan skyline. Everybody knows the carousel. They get down there, they take a picture of the carousel. I got it. But I needed more than that. For me, I wanted to, so I'll do this thing, and I'll just circle something. I don't know if you do that, Ken, but I'll circle something until I can see it different, And then when I was seeing pieces of it, I was like, oh, I like the fan. I like the way the glass protecting the carousel is distorting the skyline. Look at the way, and this is what I captured.
Mm-hmm.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice. Boy, did that sound condescending. But that's okay.
No, I like it. I mean, I think it's very nice. I think it's very nice that, I'm presuming that the waviness.
The waviness. Did you drop out?
I'm presuming that all of that is unphotoshopped. I'm presuming that's the natural waviness of whatever reflection you were getting.
Oh, you haven't seen me Photoshop, guy. Let me tell you. No, that is straight through the lens, brother.
Yeah, that's what I figured. So
Yeah,
it's very nice.
yeah. I mean, you're looking through the glass of the carousel. Basically,
Right.
that's the
The
warping that's going
glass
on.
Right,
house.
and it's the warping from the refraction.
Yeah.
It's really nice.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about this is that you're only using base. You have two colors here, and they're actually complementary colors, or at least opposites. So you got the blue and the yellow,
Yeah, yeah.
which are
And
opposite colors.
it's again the painting with light, that
Hmm.
capturing a texture that's not there but it's there.
Hmm.
The jamming together the old with the new, with the old with the what the hell is that? And I enjoyed just looking at this, and that's I think landscapes can be a whole lot of fun if you put in the due diligence.
I
There's a lot of
what I like
other
most
imagery
about it.
out there.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I think everything you said is really great. I really like the fact that you have hidden that huge logo type that's on the building on the far right. I think that's really wonderful because these days, you want to get the skyline, but it's kind of disturbing sometimes when you
The
try
Verizon
to,
building.
yeah, you try to get, you don't want the logo all the time in the image. And I think the buildings without the huge logos on the top, uh, you know, they're just as pleasing sometimes. But if that logo's there, every time you photograph it, you can't help but look at that.
Yeah.
So I think you hit it well.
I was conscious. I didn't want it on there either. But there's a lot of. I used to say that at Pratt to capture like a. It had a painterly quality to it. The, uh, the piece of the carousel with that dated lighting and dated painting and that faded yellow color. And New York is an old city. You know, and the Brooklyn Bridge. And then the distortion, like you say, and the refraction of the glass. Gave it a painterly quality that that,
Hmm.
that I really like.
I agree.
Okay, let's move
Folks,
on.
that's all. All right, let's move it right along. Who's next up?
Mark is up next.
Okay, I only have the one image.
Take
Okay.
it away, Mr. Skinner, with your
Yep.
fabulous one image
Ooh.
landscape.
Okay. What?
Now, if you were
1 second, Mark.
standing here, okay, go ahead.
I think I lost my confirmation that the screen share is working. Okay, there we go.
All right. So if you walk around from where Greg took that photograph of Jane's Carousel, and you kind of walk north along the Brooklyn shore, and you go to a little park that's there. I think it's either Brooklyn Bridge Park, part of that still, or might be a little bit of Robert Fulton Park. And you plop your tripod there, you will actually get a chance in the winter to see this view of Lower Manhattan. That is the Manhattan Bridge as opposed to the Brooklyn Bridge. It's about 60
Ooh.
years younger. Once again, it's a big favorite of
Wait, wait,
Bernice
wait,
Abbott.
wait. So you said in the winter, if you go in the winter, you'll get this view. You mean it changes?
Yeah,
They
you'll
move the bridge.
no, you'll get that view in the winter because the sun changes its position as
Ah,
it sunsets over the course of the year. It goes further south in the thing in the winter, and it goes a little further north in the summer. If I
the
remember correct,
bridge,
That is
the
correct. Yes.
sun, the sun,
Yeah.
the sun.
right?
Yeah.
So as the year changes as the light changes over the year. I mean, you can get this photograph in December or maybe some other
Okay,
time. I
what
think
is it
maybe a half
about
a
the
year
time
later.
of year that makes this capture different?
Yeah.
Well, there are two things. Number one, there's a minimal amount of cloud cover and haze because the air is drier in the winter for the most part. That's number one. Number two, the sun's in a different position. Um, so because it's in a different position at sundown as well as sunset, the light falling on the subject, in this case, the one Manhattan Square condominium tower, the bridge, and the other apartment buildings and condominium buildings below, it's going to be different. Now,
That's a project. That's right on Canal Street, right? Manhattan dumps onto
uh,
Canal. Or is
that
that different?
might be the Knickerbocker houses, but I can't tell. The Knickerbocker houses might be to the left of this scene. I tried to find them, but I've never been there, so I don't know exactly where they begin and where condominiums end. And that's another thing I was going to talk about here in New York, particularly in Manhattan, and now more so in Brooklyn. The wealthy, the middle class, and the poor are juxtaposed on one another quite a bit. Just as in Greg's previous photo, you saw the old and the new, you also get to see the various strata of society. I mean, that building, those apartments go for 1.5 million to $6 million, or just below $6 million. And
That
it's
high
72 foot.
rise.
That high rise on the left, that's one of the swankier new condominium towers called One Manhattan Square. And I mean, I looked at the website. They're really nice. It's a really nice place. But
It
as
better
Greg,
be.
but as Greg mentioned, there's also public housing also in that same vicinity, and that's something you don't really see. Usually, you didn't see that outside of Manhattan, where the incredibly wealthy and the incredibly poor were like literally across the street from one another. Um, uh, you now see that a little bit more in Brooklyn. The outer boroughs are a little bit more separated in terms of the socioeconomic classes. But what I liked about this photo is it's a landscape, but at the same time, you see this tower where everyone is above the bridge, and then everyone else who has been in that area earlier is a little bit below the bridge. So it speaks to the idea of zoning and and how air rights can be secured for one builder that maybe other builders couldn't do or wouldn't do. It talks about how at the same time they provided affordable housing for people years ago in that same area, that same community. So there's a lot of sociology that's in that one photograph if you know the history of New York. But otherwise, it's just a pleasant photograph of the bridge with a tower and some apartment buildings in it.
And I think 99.9% of the people who view this image without your context is going to look at it as such.
That's true. I mean, what you're going to find is, for me, I mean, if I look at a photograph of Mount Rushmore, let's say someone had a picture of that, I understand that those are four presidents because I'm an American citizen and I've watched all that stuff. But at the same time, I may not know the history of how it was built. I may not know all the Native American suffering that went into, and so, yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, that's the issue with the landscape. You don't know the history of the area. I just provide that information while we're talking for context. And for those who are in the business of real estate, they understand what I'm talking about. They'll tell me whether I'm wrong or I'm right. And for those who understand the history of the city, people who are like the New York Historical Society, they too will tell me whether I'm wrong or right, or tell me whether this has the sociological information that I'm saying it has in it. Maybe it doesn't, but it's what I see, and it's what I feel is there based on my understanding of how New York grew and what's there in the image. And like you said, Ken, it varies from individual to individual.
It varies from individual. Right. This is something I think we're going to continue to talk about because I have the next episode up, so we'll be talking about that in our next episode.
Yeah, that's my one photo in landscape part 2. I don't really get around that much anymore. Good.
All right. So with that, I'll take over the
we could get
third.
you a hover round. We could like start a GoFundMe and get you a hover round. Go ahead, Ken. I'm sorry.
Okay. All right. So what I decided to do, because we sort of talked about landscapes last time, and we talked about sort of the places that we've been and what a typical landscape does, but I thought today I'd sort of focus on how we got to the landscapes, literally how we got to the landscape. So I'm doing road trips.
Okay. And
Nice.
Road trips are
so
fun.
what I decided to do was just on the road, while I was on the road in some of the places I visited, these are the things that I saw while on the road. And in some cases, the road is included in them most of the time. And I'm quite sure that somewhere in this wide expanse, there's a road somewhere. I just don't know where it is. You don't see it here, but this is what I saw when I was driving on the road. So I thought the landscape was just tremendous. Again, I think this is, of course, desert Southwest, and this would most likely be Death Valley National Park.
That's beautiful.
You know, so I just, and these are things like, because when I'm driving to these places, and you gotta stop, pick out the camera, take the picture, continue driving. Oh, stop! Like, and you do that like dozens of times. You're like, oh God, this is crazy. I'll never get where I'm going, right? So,
But I mean, do you get to a point where you don't care if you get there or not?
if
Or
I,
I mean,
I have a hotel room that's scheduled for a certain time, so yeah, in a way I had to.
oh,
You know? Yeah.
have you ever
There's
like canceled, like something has just been so good and you were like in a groove or something, and you called and canceled the hotel?
not on a trip. No, I wouldn't do
No.
that,
Okay.
unfortunately. I mean, yeah, if I had a little bit more money to expand on it, I probably would, but no, I couldn't afford it on this one. So next one, just another landscape I did, and this one you can definitely see the road on the right hand side. I just think seeing gravel, dirt, rock, everywhere you go, you know, it's
You
like
know what's funny? I didn't realize that that was a road and didn't get a sense of the scale until you told me it was a road. I I I thought it was something huge, but not road sized. I thought it was maybe about a third of that what you're talking about. I didn't
yeah,
realize that was the road itself. Holy
this
mackerel.
is this is a road right along here.
And
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is not the one way in the back. That's not a road.
Yeah,
No.
no, yeah,
That
uh,
little
On the
ledge
right
right there.
side, right where there's the cut in the mountain
yeah,
side.
right where the cut is.
Yeah. Scratch. It's not
Ooh.
even
Yeah,
a cut. It's a
yeah,
scratch.
just
The,
amazing and endless.
one thing that I didn't
Oops, sorry.
care about for no, like when like in the Rushmore shots.
Uh,
The only thing that photography does not do a good job of is scale. This is an immense expanse of land.
mm,
And for your brain to wrap around that, it is only able to capture this snapshot or
yeah,
this clip, this photograph, but that is
Well, I mean,
miles.
I'm
You
only
know,
going to take one issue with that, and that yes, it's very difficult to do, but isn't that part of the gig is to kind of find a way to express scale if showing the expanse is what you're aiming to do? That is the challenge, right? Otherwise, you're just snapping
that that
anything.
that's why I
Eh,
would print big. Because if you print big, if you print an expanse like this and print it big and give your viewer a chance to get close and look, they it hits them when they see something and it's like, oh wait a minute, that's a tree.
yeah,
Oh my goodness, wait, that's a tree.
yeah,
How did it get so? Wait a second, that means that is then their brain
yeah,
starts doing the math
hmm,
and they get the idea that you were little bitty.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
right, but that is why in many instances people include right there you go like an element of the road.
uh-huh,
We all know about how most of us know how wide a two-lane highway tends to be. If, and so even if it's a two-lane street, we kind of have a sense of it,
hmm,
and so you get a sense of scale here, right? That you don't necessarily get in some other photos. But Greg was saying you don't get a sense of scale. I do have a sense of scale here. I get that you pulled over to the side of the road
yeah,
and you took your photo.
yeah,
And I don't necessarily have to have a truck from the opposite direction
right,
closer to the frame, closer
right,
to the camera to get a sense, of that.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
again, they're tumbleweeds. I guess we all figure they're about 3 or 4 feet. Maybe they're 6, but I don't know. But we all know the road. We all know what the road is.
Yeah.
Tumbleweeds are big. You know, I was driving up on the 99. I was like, what the hell is that? I wonder what that is. I had to stop, because it's a long drive. And I went over there. It's a tumbleweed. It was big.
Okay.
Did you take your hat off for the tumbleweed as it passed?
Actually, I thought I could take something back to where I was and sell them. What a silly
You
guy
didn't
I was.
you didn't tip your hat to the tumbleweed?
No. Usually what you see after a tumbleweed is like a gunslinger, so I just got back in the car.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. So in this one, trees are included. I think I was headed. This is in Arizona, and I'm figuring I'm headed north toward the Grand Canyon. So
Gun Bear Mountains.
yeah, yep.
Yeah, that's not Bear Mountain.
You get gold up and down Bear Mountains.
And I think my last one. Come on, what happened to my last one? Okay. Ooh, okay. I guess that was it. That was it.
Like you watch your gas
okay.
gauge.
Well, it's time. It's time for my obligatory 40-year-old reference. Have either of you, because you've traveled out west by car, have you gone to Devil's Tower and gotten the Close Encounters view of the road approaching Devil's Tower?
No.
I have some very cool shots of. It's actually the Bear's teepee. Devil's Tower. It's like, what is it with the Europeans? Everything with the Devil's this is like in New York. Spite and Dieple. That is the north of Manhattan.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The struggle. What can I say? The struggle is real, right?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
The devil this, the devil that. Yes, Devil's Tower was amazing.
Okay, I'm sorry. I got to re-show this image because I actually had it cropped. I apologize. This is the actual image.
Oh, okay. There you go.
I apologize. Yeah, that's it.
That's
it
actually
was
much
the panoramic.
No, that's
like,
your six. That's
like
your. That's is that from the? That's with the 6.7, right?
This is with the 6.7. Yes.
That's like the last picture they found on his camera, where they found his dehydrated body by the side of the road. I'm sorry. I couldn't resist. Sorry.
Okay. Sorry about that, but yeah.
No, that's all right.
Scale is scale. So.
Yeah, scale's fine. Well, any comments? Are we there? Are we there?
We there.
Well, that's another episode of Photography Talk with three Pratt grads. You see, I'm kind of chocolate. He's kind of chocolate with milk. He's like a mocha thing. Anyway, we're the guys. And we do this regular. Tune in, subscribe, send us comments if there's something you want us to talk about. Yeah, we're kind of steeped in the old school because we went to Pratt and we had the traditional fine art photography training with painting and Rembrandt and, Eugene Smith and all of them guys. So, but it's fun. And we do this pretty regular. So, tune in next time with Ken Nelson and Marcus Ken. And I'm Greg Quick. Rapid Sidekicks Nevis in the holes. Anyway, that's it for this episode. We'll see you next time.